Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Fake Accents Unite. Here is hoping that this time we actually manage to start the show and we finish on time, as opposed to last time where we barely got half an hour through and the internet was causing so many issues that it just wasn't feasible. I'd like to apologise for that anyway. We're late.
Apparently it was all at my end.
Yes, it was all at your end, Britcher. In fact, what happened was the Britcher's jar, he got a little bit excited, rocked around a little bit in that, and spilled some of his embalming fluid over onto my Wi-Fi adapter. Clearly, that's what happened. I mean, I can't think of any other reason that it would be.
So one way or another, it's my fault.
Sorry?
So one way or another, it's my fault.
One way or another, it is your fault. Yes, indeed.
So nothing changes. Yes. Good evening, everybody, by the way.
Wonderful. We're also joined this evening by Owine. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Shemai. How are we all? I'm back. Owine's back in Owine.
What kind of introduction was... Okay, we're joined by Owine, who appears to have drank too much of his namesake this evening.
No, he started with Shemai, which sounds very much like some kind of 70s disco group.
It gets
in
worse.
In Wales, I wouldn't be surprised that did exist.
It gets worse because Shimwai is spelt Simway. So it's like...
It's SHWMAE.
Oh, really? I thought it was SIMWAE.
No, Shemai. I mean, it's just shorthand in Welsh for how are you? Or how is everybody?
I see.
It's just the Welsh corruption of shalom.
You could say it's the Welsh version of shalom.
Are we going to have to start calling you the Woos now?
I'd rather not.
No, I don't think so. We're also joined.
I don't think that's good now.
We're also joined this evening by Tailed Feature. Good evening, sir. More Bulgarian
language. Yeah. We're continuing with more Bulgarian.
Bulgarian. Bring it on. Chats.
This is the Burns Night stream, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Haggis in space and all that.
Yeah.
Is it really Burns Night once again? Good grief! It's been
It's
been a whole year since the last one. I did completely forgot. I had absolutely no idea it was Burns Night tonight. Do you have anything in particular on in your drinks cabinet for this evening?
No, because I completely forgot as well. And it was only because Harrian, of all people, Taffy, sent me a message with Happy Burns Night in Gaelic. That was the only reason that I knew.
I feel you must. I just feel a little bit like sick. Just be like, oh, I got reminded by Harry about my own culture.
You do realise that you know it sort of the SNP must be having some listening in here, some listening posts, and no doubt they've already made a note to un-Scottish you.
Well, they're probably listening to the stream, obviously, aren't they?
Precisely, yes.
Yes. Well, they'll just have to. It's their fault for the lockdown and everything, as far as I'm concerned. So that's the only reason, because I have no idea what day it is half the time.
But were you at least impressed by the haggis in space?
Yeah, I mean, again, I only knew about it because I watched your wonderful video.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I thought you might have just picked this up by the news, but I
don't watch news. I don't read news. But no, I will look it up and I'll probably include it on my stream on Wednesday. So thanks for the content.
I gotta add that it is also, believe it or not, Wales also has a special holiday today. It's not just Burns Night. In Wales, it's Welsh Valentine's Day, Dydd Santes Dwynwen.
Sorry,
So
what
was
your
that?
own Valentine's Day?
Yeah, in Wales we have our own Valentine's Day.
Why?
Is it an ode?
The story of Dwynwen.
Is it an ode to bovine lust or something?
No. It's okay. I'll look it up to try and read you the story. So Dwynwen was apparently this beautiful lady who asked a fairy or something like this to give her beauty, become the most beautiful woman in the land. And so what eventually happened then is something to do with, as these stories go, I believe it was she dies at some point, and then the day became kind of part of the became dedicated to her, and then it was dedicated to a kind of forbidden love that she had with someone, and her father wouldn't allow it, and so it became Welsh Valentine's Day. So on this day, you give your love a wooden spoon.
A wooden spoon.
I've heard
Yeah.
about the wooden spoon thing from the Antiques Roadshow.
Yes, Wales is a big tradition. If you when you propose, Welsh tradition when you used to propose traditionally, you'd propose with a spoon. With a wooden spoon, you whittled yourself.
Okay.
Well, there's places in England
Or as a
that,
wedding gift.
yeah, that have that as a wedding gift as well.
It seems like
I don't
just a
know if it travelled from Wales or.
Not so obvious. You seem to be breaking up on us here.
no, I swear to God, no. This appears to be an artifact of just Wales's position in the Union. Am I right?
No, it's not.
I don't know, but you're the one that doesn't know the difference between a bovine and an ovis, anyway.
I couldn't think of Ovis off the top of my head, so it had to pick up one thing or the other. I needed the joke to work, Tailed. Thank you for now eviscerating me in front of all of the fans.
So
Well, it's fine. We eviscerate sheep on this day in Scotland, I guess, and all that.
so I found the full story. It's quite short. So Dwayne fell in love with a man called Melon Daffodrich.
Daffodil.
It's literally spelled
Okay, yes.
It's like, yeah, it's very similar to daffodil. Melon returned the feelings, but they could not be together as Dwynwen's father forbade their marriage, and her father had already promised her to someone else. Distraught by her love for Melon, Dwynwen prays that she would fall out of love with him. After falling asleep, and possibly while awake, Dwynwen was visited by an angel, a fairy in some tellings, who carried a sweet potion designed to erase memory, and a memory of Melon, and turned him into a block of ice. God then gave 3 wishes to Dwynwen. She wished Melon to be thawed, the second that God meet the hopes and dreams of true lovers, and the third that she should never marry. All 3 were fulfilled. There we
So
go.
she forgot
And
about
she-
him, but he was also turned into a block of ice.
But she wished that she was granted 3 wishes by the angel for some reason after that, where she wished he was thawed, and that God would meet the hopes and dreams of all lovers, and that she could never marry anyone, and she then became a nun.
Wales.
This
Wales.
is a very strange twist on romance.
I think there's a Mabinogion version of this prior, which is less Christian.
Wales lore is trippy, man. That's all I'm getting out of that.
Yes, magic mushrooms must have played a part here.
It's the 5th century. I think that in tellings they do use mushroom circles.
Yes,
You know what they called fairy
yeah.
circles.
but no, it's just it's sort of strange that traditional telling should somehow still have managed to sort of supersede St. Valentine's, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So there must be some very strong local affinity towards this particular story. Maybe it's the way you tell it. I don't know.
I don't know why this particular one survived, because there's a lot of other holidays that didn't really survive, but this one for some reason survived longer. I think it's to do with the wooden spoons, to be honest.
I mean, you're the same people who take a horse's skull around at Halloween, right? So,
Christmas.
at Christmas, because scaring people.
Get it right, not so obvious.
Excuse me
Yeah,
for not knowing
the
the particular
horse head is
traditions of the lower peoples of the
So-
Isle.
It's called Mary Lloyd, and the horse head's meant to represent Mary, the Virgin Mary.
It's it's the Welsh Christmas allusion towards the Godfather, because everybody's watching that at that time of year.
So obviously, let's talk about. Okay,
Everyone watches Die Hard, pretty sure.
So you know Burns Night, right?
Never.
You know, I know it's about Robbie Burns, as they call him up north. But what's the story? So is it just a night dedicated to him, or is there a story behind it?
What, Burns Night?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why Mr. Burns as opposed to any other Scottish poet, shall we say?
I suppose because I think it was his birthday. Don't actually know. Because like all I remember from learning about Burns was that we were forced to learn his poetry at school and recite it in front of the entire class, and you had to be put forward for a competition, and I absolutely hated doing it. That's about all I can really remember.
Can you?
I mean, I know more about the guy now than I did at the time.
Can you imagine? Was it Humza Yusuf reciting Burns' poetry? He'd be saying, and here is my not latest. Here is my recital of a poem by Robert Burns, White, and then he goes.
I wonder if haggis is haram.
Yes, he would change the text, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
white timorous beastie.
Yeah.
I saw.
Well done, Britisher.
The Britisher is a man of culture, as we all know.
Well, you know, even I once in a while remember something. I mean, I'm getting old and decrepit, and I'm struggling with all sorts of names. But once in a while, the memory still works.
Mentioning whether or not haggis is haram actually reminds me of like it's a little news story that happened a little while ago where they had basically floated the idea of banning halal or banning unstunned slaughter, which caused the Muslim Council of Britain to say that if you ban halal, most of the Muslims in the country will leave. And the ratioing on that post was like, and
there was much rejoicing.
Oh dear.
Oh, God.
It was just it, and this would be a problem because although I am reliably informed that a good proportion of things marked halal are no longer unstunned, which surprises me given I thought that was part of the whole bit, right? But apparently you can have halal vegetables and that counts.
Well, all vegetables are haram in Scotland, except potatoes and neeps.
Yeah,
Honestly, yes.
Obviously the
Potatoes are the best veg.
obviously we had this very strange moment when the Scots come down to visit, where I was told I had ordered burgers, and the burger for my Scottish friend came with salad on it, and this was not well received. He was very, very angry, and I'm going, just take the lettuce and the tomato and put it by the side, my dude. It's going to be fine. And he's like, I ordered it without salad and now it's tainted. But obviously in a Scottish accent.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah, I that's the same with me though. If I like my burgers plain, and if there's any sauce or like tomato or gherkin or whatever in it, it's tainted, and I'll taste it if it's not even touched the burger patty.
Well, the worst thing that I was the funniest thing I was told was it's healthier without the salad because it contains fewer calories.
Yep, that's justification for it.
On the
because I'm one of these guys who goes to McDonald's and takes everything off his burger.
Well, I tell you what, I was out for Count Dankula's birthday a couple of years ago, and he wanted to go to Five Guys.
Nice.
And so that's where we went. And I have a gluten allergy, so I couldn't have the roll. So I got a bacon burger and just ate the burger and the bacon, and he was very upset.
Not even
he was watching this, and he was like actually triggered. He was like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?"
Not even crispy onions on your burger and bacon.
You can't, because they'd be fried in likely in something with gluten. Didn't they?
Yeah, I know, but it's not. It
So
doesn't
we
kill
actually
me.
have a recorded incident of Dankula being the triggered party.
Yes.
This is the this is
There
the
you
same.
go.
This is the same man who sat with me in a Polish restaurant in London, and because he didn't like anything on the menu, went to the children's menu and ordered fish nuggets.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because he doesn't like anything like sauce or anything like that. Like, he can't eat beans. He can't like anything. He won't have tomato sauce in anything.
Yep.
He won't have like custard. He won't
I
have.
completely empathise with
Let's
this.
be clear. He
I hate
can
custard.
he can have
I
these
hate tomato
things.
sauce.
He-
I'll have baked beans, yes.
Let's be clear. He can have these things. He just won't. He just refuses, right?
I think it makes him quite ill.
Like all Scots, like he must just only have
See-
buckfast and things without colour.
But see,
I
the
get-
thing is, right, sauce, right, especially like tomato sauce, is very rich, and some people just really can't handle rich tastes that well. And I really can't, like, a really overpowering sauce can ruin a meal for me completely.
You're raised on too much salted porridge. That's what I'm getting from this.
Just best sauce is gravy, and maybe curry.
He wouldn't have curry sauce or gravy or anything like that. It just has to be dry because it's
That's explained. That's
it's
extreme
the
for me.
sauce thing that's the problem.
Well, that's
Wow.
it. His birthday cake for this year is just completely out the window. Ridiculous. All the planning with Sue. You'd think she'd know after being married to him for so long, but no, completely ruined. This was the biggest thing actually when we were talking about recipes the other week, and she was just like, I'd love to make all of these things, but I won't eat them, and he will never eat them. So-
Yeah, pretty much. He's fussier than I am.
which is saying something. It's quite amusing. We have a couple of messages which have come in direct from the chat. So we've got the Civic Nationalist for £5 English. Thank you, sir. It says, "How do you pronounce cone and scar? Now put them together. Scone." Okay. Yes, this is going into the title of this stream, which is scone or scone, and I'd like to get the
Scone.
panel's opinion on this.
It's gone.
Scone.
Most of the time scone, and then sometimes scone just because I feel like it.
Look, gentlemen, I mean, you're
Taking the centrist approach once more.
somehow manages to sit on the fence for the scone question. There is no dichotomy. It's very simple. They are scones until they're scone. How about that? How much cringe can be in a single sentence, and yet it's accurate.
Look, you gotta love a good pun, mate.
Yes. It's scone. It's got to be scone. Everything in the English language screams scone.
Ew, scone. Ew, I should have a bet for my scone. It's like, no, it's scone.
No, I think sometimes with the rhythm, one will fit better than the other.
Take a side, Britisher. Take a
Nope.
side.
I'm going
Alright.
to put someone in the chat for you to have a look at.
You put something in chat. Okay, yeah, I'll have a look in a second.
Scone until it's scone.
Ludicrous.
Haha,
Oh, okay.
love it.
Okay. Oh, you're scone in Scotland, as in the stone of scone. Except that you pronounce it scoon, don't you?
Cool.
Scoon.
Yes.
Is that
Place
back in
is
Scotland
Scoon.
yet?
Scuin. You can't spell it
Scone
though.
of Scoon.
Scots Gaelic or Gaelic. I forget which one way round it is.
Gaelic.
SGA with an accent IN. Skein. Skein.
Scan.
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 Scan. Get your scan. Maybe we've discovered this new thing. They're not scones or scones. They're scan.
Scans.
Get your scans. That sounds a bit more like sort of
Okay.
south
Like
east.
Vinnie
yeah.
Jones or something.
East London,
Yeah.
Londoner, get your scans. I apologise to any East Londoners in chat for that.
Like, you don't apologise to me for just, completely shitting on my native tongue.
Or me for calling me a bloody sheep enthusiast every 10 minutes.
I said
Well,
that I called you a cow enthusiast by accident earlier this stream. I mean, I do mix it up on occasion.
a bit of diversity right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
I think that you can have a warm and loving relationship with a range of farmyard animals, Owain.
So it's like, Mark, if I ever find you in Scotland and I'm there, I'm suing you for defamation, mate.
As if you'll ever get out of Wales, because your lockdown is never coming off, right?
No, it isn't. It's pretty hardcore right now.
If you get the ability to drink again, that will be a good start, right?
Dude, I'm so desperate.
The next order by the Welsh Assembly is to ban the selling of alcohol in all supermarkets as a non-essential item.
Yeah, they tried it. They didn't do it.
Are the love spoons or whatever? Are they essential items? Can you buy them at the shop?
I don't know, to be honest with you,
Are you allowed? Are weddings allowed?
Yes, I think, but you have invitation only and it's very small.
In order to reduce the number of COVID deaths, funerals have been banned.
So the alcohol thing turned out it was just someone had said something. I think suggested something in the Welsh Parliament, and it got out to the press, and someone in the press put it out, and they had to quickly put a rebuttal out saying, "No, this is not happening. We're not doing that. We're crazy, but we're not that crazy." I don't think they're far off of it, though, to be honest with you. But it turns out, even like Wales now his vaccines programs actually start happening after our terrible start to it, because that was the big news last week in Wales, was kind of how bad the vaccines were, and now it turns out Scotland is the one lagging behind big style.
We have this bizarre thing actually with the vaccine rollout, because we're touting our, I think it's 6.5 million first doses given out, and of those 500,000 have received a second dose now, I think. So really we have 500,000 vaccinated people. But the interesting point with it is this is the world leading standard at the moment, which obviously leaves a number of other nations behind, and the amount of salt on Twitter about this, right? So we're leading the world on this. The number of people who are screaming that we're not doing it fast enough. Then there's a number of people who are screaming that we wouldn't need to be the best in the world if we didn't have such a horrendous record on COVID to start with.
It's stupid.
It's like there's no winning with this. I'm relieved if they could vaccinate the population, they could vaccinate the population, and get it over with, and that will be that, right? I'm not particularly.
Yes. Can I please go to the pub again?
Yeah, I'm not particularly hard up on the whole vaccination thing. But now, and we also got the news the other day that they're now considering closing the borders so that they can get this all done through and ensure that the population. It's only taken 12 months.
A year. Yeah.
It's only taken 12 months for them to consider possibly closing the borders. Absolutely ridiculous. Yes, a couple of, as I say, things coming through. Aaron Telford, nice to hear from you, man. Says beans on toast is vile and disgusting.
He's still wrong.
Teo, I assume you have a very strong position on this, given that it is about 90% of your diet.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So it was because of me that Aaron Telford started this crusade. And basically, I think he should be deported because he doesn't. It's a British staple, and he doesn't like it.
This is his hill to die on. Is he British or is he from elsewhere? Do you know?
I think he's English.
English. I think it's our hill to die on. We're the ones who will die on a hill of beans.
Yes. What do you have a particular
comic relief?
Do you have a particular opinion on the bean of haricot, Britisher?
Oh well, I mean, of course. I mean, baked beans are about as British as you can get. Anybody decrying baked beans, I mean, there must be something wrong with them.
If you're feeling extra peppy, add a bit of cheese on top of that, right? Grate some cheese on top.
Oh dear God, no. That's just no.
Honestly, I never thought. I never thought that this would be beans. No, I never thought that this would be where you and I would finally fall out, Britisher. I mean,
pepper, yes, but cheese, good God, no.
oh, pepper's good as
We're
well.
certainly not on the fence about that one.
Pepper and cheese, why not? Pepper underneath and then a bit of cheese on top. Yeah, I know what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow. That's all I'm gonna say. Beans on toast, bit of grated cheese, bit of pepper on top of that. I'm happy with that. Why not?
I'm fine with a bit of cheese on mine, but I usually can't be bothered.
I thought you were going to say, but for the sake of being contrarian, I'm going to side with the Britisher on this one.
No, I'm a bit nonplussed when it comes to grated cheese on beans on toast.
That's wrong, man.
I imagine for you, Toad.
Mostly because I can't be bothered washing the grater afterwards.
I imagine for you as well, it's just mainly adding texture, Tailed, knowing what I do about your taste buds.
Exactly, yes.
Yes. Chat is saying. Some people are saying I've not had beans on toast for about 35 years. What are you doing, man? Get yourself together. Have some beans on toast tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, the morning after Burton's night should be beans on toast morning.
Here's a question. This is just
like pancake day, beans on toast day.
This is about the actual technique of beans on toast. So, I mean, we will just cast the idea of cheese on beans on toast from
no, rubbish. This is the Britisher. The Britisher is going here and saying you must have an open fire on which to cook your toast because there's no other way to do it. And then every bean must be individually pushed through and cooked to perfection before adding
an individual cook.
By an individual cook, well, before slathering it in tomatoey, sugary, salty goodness that is the tomato sauce on top.
See, I'm with the British on this. No cheese.
What I wanted to ask, is
not even a bit of Wensleydale.
In a controversy. Wensleydale.
I just wanted to quote Wallace and Gromit when.
See, now I'm just wanting to quote one.
Ever had Wensleydale? Have you actually ever had Wensleydale?
With cranberry, yes.
Yes, you think this is a grilled cheese?
I don't.
Cheese,
I don't. But chat was saying like
he was being flattened. Even I knew that.
Object of hate is sitting in chat right now and saying the question is which cheese? Cheddar, Stilton, Brie, mozzarella, and I've just had Wallace and Gromit channeled through me for a second by the powers that be.
Yes,
to
the only thing you could think of was Wensleydale.
No, it's not what I could think of. The quote is not even a bit of Wensleydale.
Wensleydale.
I still want to finally get this question through because this has caused controversy in my parts of the world, and that is, do you put the beans on buttered toast or toast?
Buttered.
Oh, buttered, certainly.
With sugar or butter? By sugar or butter?
Tailed?
I don't like butter, so...
Also, in that case, it's an even split. 2 buttered, 2 non-buttered.
I was going to say, I'll butter your toast, Britisher, but that sounded far too sexual.
Yes, that sounds somewhat suggestive. Yeah.
I go further and say that you should, like the Heinz baked beans and sausages are the ideal to go with your toast.
So you want further
accompaniment? No.
I even had bacon on the occasion.
Just beans on toast by itself is a perfectly satisfactory.
Than cheese. Put it like that.
Why is your crusade against cheese, man? What you're gonna have to explain?
I have no problem whatsoever with cheese, but not on beans on toast.
Why?
Cheese on toast? Cheese on toast sustains the Welsh nation.
Why not? Why not? How about cheese on toast with beans? Why would you not?
Just categorically, these two things do not go together.
One of these things is not like the other. You can tell that the Britisher was not raised in Britain, ladies and gentlemen. His heritage is ever more in question.
Cheese and baked beans only work together if it's in a jack potato.
There I may be willing to concede to a degree that might work, but with difficulty.
There is well, not with difficulty, British. Oh, for goodness sake! There you go. I do like I like beans, cheese, and a bit of tinned tuna on my baked potato. That has to be said. That's my one of choice. A bit of flaky tuna in there, like that. And interestingly, though, I do not butter that potato, which is not a sentence I expected to be saying this evening. There we go.
Anyway, we should all be having haggis, neeps, and tatties tonight. Anyway,
Oh, I forget what neeps are. Remind me.
turnip.
That was right. I don't think I've ever eaten turnip. I've just never been that poor.
It's not actually all that nice.
No. Although I suppose, like in a sort of ratatouille-esque sense, roast turnip might be nice. I don't know.
Isn't it?
That's a bit bourgeois for me.
It's a French peasant dish, but sure.
Not after Baldric's finished with it. You mean you don't want to touch the turnip?
No, I don't. I don't want rat au vin or anything like that. No.
I'm reminded of the Simpsons episode with the turnip tree.
The thought of roasting turnips just sounds posh compared to.
Bit of goose fat, some turnips. How on earth? How are you eating your neeps? Raw?
No, you boil them and then mash it.
Boiled and mashed. Oh, okay. So a bit like Swede. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's basically the same thing.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
People-
you have mashed.
We are.
Mashed deep, and then you have your haggis. It's lovely.
I do like a bit of haggis.
Bit of gravy.
We got some spicy opinions in the chat about this. They're saying cheese and beans on toast would be cheens on toast. They're not sure about tuna on their baked potato, but I mean you're just missing out there, my dude. Swedes are better than turnips. With pepper is great. Beans on salad. Beans on salad. I don't know if I've ever had that.
Different kind of beans, probably.
Maybe. Like I know you can have sort of the most misleading title is like a 5-bean salad or something. I can't imagine actually wanting to do that.
Salad is for rabbits.
No, you can have good salad, man. You just haven't had it.
No, you can't.
Apparently the beans need to be laid first to saturate the toast.
Oh, beans on top of the toast down, or if you're feeling a bit adventurous and want to do something really nice,
Did you say
chop up the toast into little squares.
Did you
and
sorry,
then mix
did
it
you
into the big beans?
do you pour the beans onto the plate and then put your toast on top of it, and that's your beans
No.
on toast?
No. There's a few ways you can do it. You can lay out a baked beans on toast, right? You can either cut the toast into.
We're into the
beans in
important
middle.
questions now, chat.
Put the beans into the middle, and you cut your toast into triangles, and you place some on each corner, creating a square on the plate. Or you have 2 pieces of toast, you lay them down, and you pour the beans on top, and then you have it knife and fork, and you eat like that. Or, again, you can cut it into little squares, and then place it on top of the beans, and then mix it in.
This is a man who has spent too many mornings eating beans on toast.
I
I would never have it in the morning. It's a lunch thing for me.
It's always been a breakfast option down here. Anyway,
It's in every
No,
option.
because you got
I would
11
actually, I would actually see it more as something that would be a sort of a form of supper.
Yes, that's also correct. Yeah.
so we're agreed. It is a meal.
It's an every
It is a meal.
It's an every meal.
It is. It's substantial enough by itself. I can't imagine snacking on beans on toast. At least we can agree on that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's annoying because there's not enough in half a tin of beans for beans on toast, but there's too much in a full tin, really.
Oh,
And like 4 bits of toast.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing it's cheap then, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the main reason that I have it so often.
A gentleman in Discord who's literally named Turnip Magnate says turnips are low class.
When the Celts invented Halloween, it was turnips that they used for carving, not
Ah,
Didn't have
yes.
them.
I too cannot imagine a more terrifying vegetable than the turnip compared to the wholesome, the
I tell you what,
Chad
if
pumpkin.
you've ever tried to carve a turnip, it's very difficult. It's
I think
like
maybe
chisel stone.
maybe that was the point, right? Maybe it was a distinct event so that the children would have to spend hours upon hours trying to get effectively blood from a turnip, which is a statement. You know, you hear about blood from a stone, but we have blood from a turnip.
So they basically say, yeah, you go and do that. See if you can make a face on that thing. See if you can hollow out that turnip there. Yeah, on you go, son. 3 days later, they're still at it.
So if you don't do this, you're not eating that turnip tonight. But Dad, why? No, do it now. Sorry, I got a bit too.
Yeah, I put a meme in.
Yes, I've added it to the slideshow, so it will be popping up on screen, hopefully momentarily. But
there is a owl hiding in one of the windows as well. By the way, just
is there actually? Yeah, I see him up there. It's like instead of rivers of blood, rivers of beans. Is that what you're going for?
Rivers of tomato sauce. Toast, beans, and gammon.
It's also a great source of iron.
I like how we've got from right to left we've got beans on toast under beans, toasty beans with new egg, pie and mash and beans, no foreign muck except curry, that's okay. Oh, and Chinese, maybe a pizza. JFC, just effing chips. We just do effing chips okay, only in Britain. And the Heritage Toast Store.
Heritage Toast.
That's honestly one of my favourite memes, especially because a lot of Americans don't like beans on toast. They go, "Why would you ever put beans on toast? It's anathema to them." So I always just post that meme whenever I do it.
Because American bread sucks.
This is why.
Well, that's really the problem. Yeah.
This is why we voted for Brexit. It's also why presumably Tailed is in favour of Scottish dependence on Britain. Because you've never been an independence pusher, have you, Tailed? Never.
No, never.
You wouldn't dare go against the Union, would you?
Well, the SNP would probably ban beans on toast because it's probably seen as a more English fixture than Scottish.
Well, they're not doing so hot about preserving other aspects of Scottish culture, including your own language. So
they would in fact insist that one carve the neeps into little bean-shaped forms, which then would be put on toast with tomato sauce. Would that be it?
Probably, yeah. Haggis on toast.
Except
as long as they would be hand-carved, yes.
Yeah, and it's not traditional tomato sauce. It is ketchup. Just like
the blood of Unionists.
You see. Oh
yeah.
God! You see a kind of Scottish nationalism when it comes to these sorts of things, where I can't imagine, especially when you see Americans attempt to imitate British cuisine, and they're talking about how this is how you have your iced tea. This is how you have your iced tea.
And they you're bringing back the trauma.
It was horrendous. Didn't I link you into that video, Britisher, at the time?
It could well all have been your fault. I wouldn't be surprised.
I remember there was some American women saying, "This is how you make British tea."
Yeah.
And it was like you boil the water in the microwave.
Yeah.
And you do that.
Yeah. And then pouring in just copious amounts of American iced tea into the boiling water, like the powdery, sugary crap that was in there. It was just truly abysmal. It was one of those things where, and she was so fake and plastic as well, that it was just horrendous.
Anyway, I thought it was a parody to start with.
I did, but apparently not. Although maybe she is self-aware, in which case fair play, because we were all royally triggered by that one.
Yeah. How to trigger a Brit. It's probably an experiment of how to quickly can you trigger Britain.
If the EU is anything to go by, it takes about 60 years. There we go. Yeah, go on.
Oh no, I was just going to ask Taylor about why is suddenly Scotland's going for a legal challenge to have your independence vote. That happened this week.
I have no idea what. I think just because the polls are apparently showing that we've got a majority in favour of independence now.
Yeah, because I like everywhere I'm seeing now, I'm seeing it pushed way hard. It's like, oh, Scotland's gonna leave. It's done now. It's happening.
Well, it doesn't help that the party is openly secessionist, right? Like, and they're only.
We've got an election coming up. It's probably more to do with that.
Yeah, I noticed the voting intention appears to be that there are gains among the Greens and the Lib Dems, and everyone else loses out, but otherwise remains relatively unchanged. And I'm like, what state is Scotland in where that is the general voting intention? Just what a loss.
I don't understand how the rest of the world went more right-wing and Scotland went more left-wing. I just don't get it.
How did Scotland produce, like, massively overrepresented in the kind of great men and women of history, the great poets, great shipbuilders, great tacticians, etc., 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 and all of a sudden we have them sitting there going, "Please, Daddy EU, please look after me." What have you done to the place, Tailed? Like, I leave it in your care, and what have you done?
I'm not taking responsibility.
You're not? Okay. Well, anyway, it'll come up at the next meeting of the Brits and the Scots down here, I'm sure.
It kind of goes back to what sort of Gard Sard talks about. You know, these kind of mental parasites. Whereby
what, are you calling the Scots mental parasites? Are you? Is that how?
No.
They actually, by living so close proximity to the British, they determined a technology which would siphon the intellect of the far superior English, and then used it for nefarious purposes.
You might conclude that from the first half of the sentence, but maybe if I get to finish the sentence, it might make more sense.
Okay, I'll let you finish. Go on.
But yes, basically, they're sort of like ideas that are some sort of parasite. And that once someone is afflicted by that parasite, if he has a susceptibility to it, that it's almost impossible to free themselves from it. And come off it. You look at Twitter, and I mean, it's full of people who are so deeply ideological that they're somehow trapped in their own little world. But yes, I think perhaps Scotland has also been afflicted by some sort of, how shall we say, it's almost sort of patriotic parasite, in which the only permissible way by which to express said patriotism is to be pro-independence. And somehow I've got the feeling one has sort of ended up in some sort of mind trap, and it's going to be interesting to see whether eventually the whole thing breaks the union, or whether somehow somebody finds a way out of it.
Well, you're getting there. It's not so much, and I've said this several times. It's not so much that the SNP are pro-Scotland. It's just that they're anti-England or anti-Westminster. And being anti-something as a policy point rather than pro-something else never really works out particularly well, I would say. So, yeah, it's just frustrating. And I think a lot of the thing is, it's basically, well, whatever the Tories say, we'll just do the opposite, like regardless of principle or anything like that. And I think that's sort of hangover from sort of Thatcherism and
Thatcher definitely plays a part here. Yes, but I think it's easier to invest passion, so particularly political passion, if it is that you are standing against something. So, when you're talking of anti and pro, it's easier to be anti-far rather than actually sort of, pro-civil rights or something like that. Do you understand what I mean? So you identify the entire movement of being against something. And in that regard, yes, I agree with you. It's not so much pro-Scotland as pro-Scottish independence. It's more a matter of anti-Westminster. Because they always like talking about Westminster rather than England.
Let's put it more bluntly. It's not pro-Scotland. It's fuck England.
Yep.
There is a bit of that. Yeah, there is an element of that.
Same thing here.
That's the sort of thing. It's quite funny when Marcus Count Dankula is like, I don't understand sometimes how we're friends because he can't stand the English in many ways. It's just
Well, it's I mean, what Britisher was saying there, sort of, it reminds me of when, we would have all been sort of considered like anti-feminist YouTubers back in the day, and it was very easy to be lumped in with other people who happened to be anti-feminist, but that was the only thing that we shared in common, was this anti-feminism sort of stance. But people were like, yeah, it's a movement, and yeah, we should all be best buddies and all that sort of thing. And we're like, well, no, because you've got people on the left, you've got people on the right, you've got, there was a whole wide range of issues that people were passionate about.
I mean,
we just all happened to be anti one ideology. That's all it was. That's the only thing binding us together.
This does kind of remind me a lot of the whole kind of anti. This concept, which I don't really agree with, which is that the right doesn't really exist; it's just unified by its opposition to the left, right?
AA's content. AA's.
Oh, the AA position
theory.
is that? Oh, yeah. That was something he was pushing a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's moved on from that now, but there's also, it's like the Gamergate thing as well, which is sort of before my time, but it was basically just everyone from people who genuinely wanted to abuse people to people who were just like ethics in games journalism, which was the majority of people, but then all this guilt by association sort of thing happened with obviously the opposition, shall we call them, at the time. Ludicrous. Right, I've got a couple of super chats to go through. So Scones says, at least you're only 125 seconds late today. That brings the total to 4,248,091 seconds. Eventually, you'll be just as late as the estimated value of pounds acquired, rightfully and peacefully, through Danelaw. I don't know about
mostly peaceful Vikings.
Mostly, I don't know about peaceful.
I'm beginning to see there is some sort of policy afoot here. So this is actually not so much keeping a tally of how late we are. This is building an argument in order to, at a later date, be able to excuse Danegeld.
Danegeld, yeah. Reinstate it, if you will. I can see him trying. I don't know about succeeding, but he could try.
He's going to turn up at York one day and just be like, "This is now Jorvik.
Here's your 3 shields." Off you go. Mr. Gently Benevolent says, "Morning, First Minister, Nighthawk and company. As it's a Scottish stream..." Sorry, Owain, you've been lumped in with the Scots there.
Wonderful.
Is a haggis in a thong immoral? Well-tailed, I think you're the only one qualified to answer this question.
It's just
something
fucking stupid.
It's just
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's the question is not so much whether the haggis in a thong is immoral. The question is, why would anybody see anything suggestive in a haggis in a thong? So strictly speaking, if you start complaining about a haggis in a thong being something filthy, what it actually reveals is that you are having filthy thoughts seeing a haggis in a thong. So it actually reveals much more about the complainant than it actually does about the subject being complained about.
Do you mean like Mary Whitehouse seeing something sexual in everything that she touched?
Along those lines, yes.
Or like the Britisher seeing offence in every single topic that he finds?
So, talking about
Precisely.
Mary Whitehouse, Britt, what did you think of our stream the other day on Harrian's channel? I did see you pop your head in.
Civilization as we know it.
What happened?
We did an entire top trumps of Harrian has his Simp for Real Queens thing. Have you ever come across that?
Oh, I am aware of Harrian's propensity to simp for, in his own words, real queens with a K.
So we did an entire top trumps with Rubber, AI, and Jaws. discussing right wing and other internet influencers, women, and rating them as you would like at a pub.
I see.
Well,
what were
they
the categories?
So you had, if I remember, you had. Wholesomeness was just top. Yeah, you popped in as well for a bit there, Tail, didn't you?
I was in the chat, yeah.
Yeah, you're in the chat.
Wholesomeness. Okay.
Yeah, you had wholesomeness. I'll get the card. I'll put a card in actually to give you an example of one of the already done.
Sweet.
Family values or something like that. Attractiveness.
Yeah, family values was there. Family values was there.
How conservative they were, or how influential they were as well.
All right.
Yes. I'll put. Who is the chat? Yeah.
Who was the Trump card? The Trump woman.
Oh, Kate Middleton.
Kate Middleton, unsurprisingly. But who was the lowest scorer?
Some dreamer,
Saka, wasn't it?
Oh, I missed that bit. So
yeah, Saka was the lowest one.
It's like you've got a permanent lisp.
I can't pronounce SHs. It's really hard for me.
Ash. Saka. There's no sh. It's just Saka.
Saka.
Not Sarkar.
So there's an example card I put in the stream chat of Belle Delphine.
Of course. Why have you put? Oh god.
We did do Belle Delphine.
Wholesomeness 0, influence 10,
Yes.
family 0,
Yes.
attractiveness
Yes.
0, conservatism 0.
Attractiveness we put I think at 7.
There was a big debate about that, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was a big debate.
That doesn't surprise me. Did you have Diane Abbott in there? Chat's mentioning her.
No, we did not have Diane Abbott.
That's disappointing. There's a
The
website.
question is, did they have Anne Widdecombe in there?
No, we did not.
There's a
we do have Meghan Markle for the next stream.
There's a website at the moment called "Is My MP a Prick?" Right? Let me. In fact, with I'm gonna put on the news.
Has that website ever received a no post since it's been founded?
Yes, but I'll explain. So I put it up on stream so people could see. Is my MP a prick? I searched for a series of different people. Boris Johnson, for instance. Is Boris Johnson a prick? According to this, yes or no? Do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, searching. Boris Johnson is a prick. There we go. Because he voted against funding free school meals over the school holidays. Because
he didn't give Gibbs.
Because he voted against paying higher benefits over long periods for those unable to work due to illness and disability. Because he voted for restricting trade unions. Because he voted against removing hereditary peers. And because, apparently, in a broad terms, he voted against laws to promote equality and human rights. There's no real specifics on this.
I was going to say, he actually sounds more conservative than he actually is.
Yeah,
it does. This is rather based, all these many of these moves.
So, is my MP a prick determines whether any given member of Parliament is a prick by combining factual information from theyworkforyou.com with common sense morality. Apparently this is common sense morality. So,
unions are not common sense morality.
And so this allows me to search Diane Abbott and search to find Diane Abbott is not a prick. Because she voted for a banker's bonus tax. And that sort of thing. So you got that. Oh, I didn't have David Lammy. Let's see, David Lammy.
Is there any Conservative politician on that side who is not a prick?
Can you think of any Conservative politician who might not be a prick according to the left-wing standard that we clearly have here, right?
Rory Stewart.
Rory Stewart, okay. Rory Stewart does not come up. I don't think he's a sitting...
How about... Oh, so it's only if they're sitting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the only one I could think of might have been, for example, John Bercow. Because he was Tory and he was Speaker of the House.
Yeah, but it's just active ones at the moment,
so
I think.
Active one. Yeah, so I have a strong suspicion that it just happens to be, frequented by people of a left-wing bent. This is why all this talk of ratioing never really works, because it just depends what sort of mob decides to descend on something.
Mm-hmm. True.
1 second.
It's why it's why certain posts on Facebook, you always get these things like, oh, this guy voted to... So, like, you remember a few years back, they said, oh, they voted that foxes don't have a soul. That was going about Facebook.
Was that...
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Theresa May's Conservatives have voted that foxes don't have a soul. And that was complete bunk.
Sorry, people are asking for Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Obviously, he's going to be like Prickmaster General or something.
I'm trying to... How do I... He
has a double-barreled surname.
Yes, but
he's a prick.
Here we are. Jacob Rees-Mogg is a prick, according to Is My MP a Prick? So there you go.
Did you catch that, Tailed, when it was an SNP politician who stood up in the House of Commons and asked whether time could be made available?
Yes.
To debate the banning of fireworks.
And Jacob Rees-Mogg stands up and goes, "No."
That was just wonderful.
That
was absolutely fantastic.
Glorious.
And the funny thing was there's a law around fireworks and stuff, and it's devolved to Holyrood anyway, so they wouldn't have been able to debate it in Westminster because it's not.
Yes, that makes it even more interesting, isn't it? So has that person since been clamouring in Scotland? Why isn't Nicola Sturgeon doing anything? Why are my constituents being betrayed by Nicola Sturgeon? No.
Why are people still having fun? Curse them.
Hey.
See, something like 89% of my constituents want them banned, and I know someone who's in that constituency, and they were one of the 11%, and they said, there was probably only about 300 people actually replied to the the consultation. So and there's however many.
We need to make a rule in Parliament that says you cannot base data on a poll. You cannot base an argument on a poll.
Good news, everyone. Jeremy Corbyn is not a prick.
Wow.
That could have gone either way, to be honest.
Chris Bryant is not a prick.
Keir Starmer.
It's such a shame, really, here, isn't it, that Owen Jones at this moment in time is not an MP.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm quite glad he's not.
No one should forget that December 21st, as Painted Blue in chat says, is Owen Jones is a wanker day. It's been going for a couple of years now. Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, he doesn't have a constituency at the moment, so he's not.
What?
As far as Keir,
surely he's an MP.
Starmer does not come up on Is My MP a Prick, and I am spelling it correctly as far as I'm aware.
That's an omission bite because they don't want to say anything about him.
Yeah, I think they know that even their own following would more than likely decry him as a
prick because of the whole Corbyn stuff.
So therefore, they're trying to kind of avoid that by just not including him in the listing.
Stuff it tells me this is a momentum device.
I mean, when it comes to Keir Starmer, the one thing I always like to highlight about him is, I think it was the chap who made a comment about the Icelandic volcano, who said that they better get the flights going again, or else he'll bomb the airport or something like that, and it was clearly meant as a joke. And he ended up being convicted, charged, convicted, the whole thing. And then I think it was Stephen Fry and what's he called, Al Murray, the pub landlord. They kind of helped finance his appeal and whatever. But it was fought all the way. And according to the legal team or whatever, it was fought due to the instructions by the Director of Public Prosecutions at the time, who didn't want to give in with the case. So it was Keir Starmer who wanted to continue to see this guy hung out to dry, because otherwise one would long before have conceded. So, Yes, the Labour Party is presently run by a guy who feels quite happy to prosecute jokes and to continue maintaining the case even when it goes to appeal, rather than just going, "Look, folks, we got this one wrong. Thank you very much."
We've got Keir Starmer, by the way. Keir Starmer is apparently not a prick.
Oh well, I mean,
definitely wrong then.
Big disappointment.
So obviously, I take it all back. He's a wonderful man.
They did overturn that decision eventually, though, didn't they?
Yeah, as I say, it got overturned, but it was fought all the way by the prosecution, and apparently it was fought because the leadership of the prosecution service insisted that it be fought.
And yet, he was in charge of all that when the whole Rotherham thing and all that was going on.
Yes, yeah. One was much more keen on prosecuting jokes than other things one might have prosecuted.
The government prosecuting jokes? Surely not, British. Such a thing has never happened in the entire history of British politics.
I mean, talking of this, there has been a headline. I haven't really had too much time in catching up on this, and I don't think there's too much available on it yet. It's one of those things that seems to be, various press headlines that seem to be things handed down from the grapevine of government in Westminster. That Priti Patel seems to have made some noises, or at least people in her team, that one seeks to overturn some of the hate crime legislation. So, we may, if it really is true, and if it isn't just some completely watered down nonsense that eventually emerges, if this really were to come to Parliament, it would be interesting to see whether this thing would pass and one would get rid of some of Blair's hate crime legislation. Because if that really could happen, that would be the end of overzealous directors of public prosecutions insisting that people be prosecuted for jokes.
I have to let you know, guys, we've been wrong for however many years we've been doing this now, but Jess Phillips is not a prick.
Oh, what?
Funny.
Oh, thanks for letting us know. This is vital information.
We did search for one of the Sinn Féin guys, right? Sinn Féin guys. And apparently it's hard to tell if they're a prick or not because they don't sit in Parliament, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Could you Plaid Cymru? Jonathan Edwards.
Well, I was going to say, why not try Ian Blackford?
How do you spell his Ian? Because it's
the English way, IAN.
Yes, Ian Blackford.
I
think that's an insult, I'm sure.
Ian Blackford is not a prick-tailed.
Oh, fuck off.
He is a man. I can't say anything.
The biggest waste of space. The biggest blower of hot air. Speaker of shite.
Ian voted for the proper funding of public services and robust action to tackle tax avoidance and evasion, no-tailed, and this makes him not a prick.
I just wonder whether that was the most genuine Scottish reaction we've ever had on this stream.
What, are you assuming that the Scots are just an ingenuine people? I don't think they know how to be other than genuine.
I just mean this is kind of Scottishness in its purest form coming to the fore as Tailed reacts to the tales of Ian Blackford.
You got any other funny SNP guys that you want to get? Apparently, Nicola Sturgeon doesn't appear to come up.
No, she's an MSP, not an MP.
Okay, right, yeah, I'm with you.
Who else? I'm trying to think, because it's difficult to. Well, we could do the guy that wanted to ban fireworks, Alan Smith, and that's ALYN for some reason.
ALYN.
Because he's special, Tails.
Smith.
Yeah, very special.
Alan Smith is not a prick.
Fuck. Honestly, even if you just saw his face, you would just want to punch him.
Oh, really? Let's try and see if we can find a.
He looks like a beetroot with fucking The Rock's eyebrows.
What?
Eyebrows all raised.
What a description! Let's get this. There he is. Up on stream now. Good
He's
grief!
Just smug.
He does have that kind of. he does have that kind of air of smugness around him. I also like how his beard doesn't touch his face. It just sort of seems to ring. He's like pure neck beard all the way around.
He was an MEP.
Oh, right, back when we had those. Oh, in the
Yeah.
before times. Yes.
That's actually a quite reasonable picture of him, but usually he's quite red in the face and all sweaty.
What do you mean, like this?
And what? That's not him.
That is back when he was an MEP. Yes,
No way.
MEP.
No way.
A confirmed as SNP candidate for Sterling, the first year that he ran for the SNP. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a prick.
People are saying bad touch, stranger danger. Oh my goodness.
Margaret Ferrier.
Margaret Ferrier. Is
Margaret Ferrier. Ferrier.
Ferrier. Ferrier. Margaret Ferrier is not a prick. The independent MP for Rutherglen and Hamilton West.
What
Yeah.
about what's
It's funny how she's now an independent MP, isn't it?
Yes.
what about the who's the green? Caroline Lucas.
Oh, Caroline Lucas. Yeah.
The green singular.
Yeah.
Well, because she has been for years now. Isn't
They-
she? Just
they-
the one green person.
Did they pick up another constituency? I can't remember, but they've only.
They're after Bristol. They've been
They-
after Bristol for years and they can't get it.
Yeah, well, they're not. Oh, speaking of Bristol, I've got another story about that later on. But yeah, Caroline Lucas is apparently not a prick. So there's that. Obviously, we can't search for who was the woman who ran the Lib Dems for a little while, and it was her Lib Dems, and
she was in the Shetlands.
and she got told that she lost. She was the first contender party leader to lose her seat in something stupid.
Joe
like
Swinson.
Yeah, Joe Swinson. So she lost her seat, and she was the first to lose it in Yonks. And then, of course, moved on. I don't know what she's doing now, actually, but it sounds horrendous. But yeah,
Jonathan Edwards in. He's
Spell it, sorry?
Jonathan, as you would,
yeah, Jonathan.
and Edwards.
Okay, yeah.
AED. Well, yeah. He was a former He's a former Plaid MP who has had the whip withdrawn for alleged abuse.
He's not a prick, according to this website.
Yes,
I
this
think-
man is being allegedly taken to court for abusing his wife, for hitting someone. I think actually.
But it's okay. It's okay. He
Allegedly.
voted to tax bankers' bonuses, ladies and gentlemen. So there we go. I think that's quite enough of that.
Can we just look up one more?
Yeah, go on then.
Mary Black, and I'll spell Mary for you because
Okay.
Will I do it phonetics?
Yeah, it's not Marie, is it? So go on.
No, it's Mike, Hotel, Alpha, Indigo, Romeo,
Yeah.
Indigo, Black.
Yeah. Is not a prick. Yeah, she was a bitch. No comment there, but yes. She did this, and it basically is predicated on the more Gibbs given, the higher the taxes, and the more institutions you destroy, the less of a prick you are. But if you're interested in looking up your own MP, you can find it at ismympaprick.co.uk and laugh.
Is this Mary Black? Is this the one who was the youngest MP ever?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so the ultimate ideologue.
Yes.
Mary
Absolutely.
Black.
Yeah.
Born, she's my age. Good grief. She's well, no, she's a little younger. But Mary Black, born 12th of September 1994, has been the Member of Parliament for Paisley and Renfrewshire South since 2015, where she defeated the current Labour Shadow Foreign Secretary. So there we go. That's her.
Yep, and according to Wikipedia, has been a Member of Parliament for Paisley and Renfrewshire since the 7th of May 2015. So
That's literally
when you
what I
say
just
she's
said.
your
but yes.
age. Well, yes, but 2015. So this is 5 years.
Yeah, so she was 22,
She's been an MP. And she's
presumably.
your age.
She was 22 when she got in, presumably. Then that's horrendous. No,
Yeah,
no,
it shouldn't be allowed.
no offense or anything, but like, what can
So
you bring to the
this is
table?
someone right out of brainwashing school who then goes right in there and is sort of, super zealous and super ideological and has not had any of the corners knocked off yet.
Not totally radicalized or anything. Yeah.
Well, she's younger than me. Like I'm 24 now. Like that's weird, man.
Well, she was younger than you when she started.
Yeah,
is what
she went in.
With
Yeah,
what
she
you
went
mean.
in. Yeah,
She's not younger than.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
She's
Yeah.
not younger than you now.
No.
But yeah. British Knight says for £20 English. Thank you very much, British
Is
Knight.
he selling sneakers again?
Is he what?
Is he trying to sell
Selling
sports apparel again?
No. He says, someone I know has found a way to combat shadow banning via an algorithmic exploit. The community tab is broken and using it once or twice a day can bring attention to your channel well beyond what should be possible. Yeah, that's come out today. News for any aspiring YouTubers out there. If you
I
put...
believe it was Spiffin Brit who broke it, I believe.
Yeah, kind of nutty from what I can see, especially with the responses I'm getting on the posts on there at the moment. Which you should interact with, by the way, and that'd be interesting. That'd be fun. Mr. Gently Benevolent says, cheese is mandatory on beans on toast. Refusing it is an act of the uncivilized barbarian who deserves naught but scorn. Pepper is nice, but optional. Yes, Mr. Gently Benevolent, I thoroughly agree.
Yeah, he lives in Australia, though. He's been tainted by
Precisely, I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he
Aussies
embodies
have- Aussies have some
he
weird-
embodies the British spirit better than you, Britisher.
Aussies have some weird kind of customs when it comes to food.
Well, probably imported from Britain when we sent all the prisoners off there. That's
I
probably
mean, the
it.
only reason he would put cheese on his beans on toast is because he's run out of Vegemite.
Oh.
I bet you,
Of all the things to invent, that is not one of Australia's
A Vegemite
strong points.
sandwich.
A very Vegemite
Exactly.
sandwich.
and she said, "Do you come from a land down under?" Sorry,
You can stop now.
Scottish.
I'll stop. I try.
You can stop now.
The guy that sang it was Scottish, anyway.
Is it? Oh,
Yep.
men at work.
Yeah.
That Indian dude says, hell for a man has to be subsisting on British cuisine with romantic options limited to British women.
Yeah, go back to shitting in the street.
Tailed being a bit spicy there.
Take no prisoners, tail.
So I'm sorry, I need to ask because I missed the very beginning of that. Who has forwarded that?
That Indian dude.
That Indian dude. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So the Indian Elizabeth Hurley, obviously being world famous. Her name just escapes me. Can't really think of it right now. Yeah, there isn't one, is there? Moving on.
I've heard my dressing down. Then.
And now he feels the need to lash out at minorities. How could you, Tailed? How could you?
It's it's the Scottish way. Well, it was.
Autocharth says, good day, lads. Happy Australia Day. Or it would be, if I wasn't only awake early enough to watch live due to the mother of all leg cramps waking me. Well, I hope you feel better soon, Autocharth, but glad that you could make it. British Knight has become a member high roller. Thank you very much, British Knight. That's very generous of you. I appreciate it. And also says, Corbyn is the Lord Protector. I
Nice.
quite like that one. Mr. Gently Benevolent says, anyone on the panel heard of this fantasy land people in our circles keep mentioning lately? Wales or some such with an H. Is it from a rolling book or something? Go on, Owain, offer your defence. Explain to the man that you're not a fantasy land, you're merely just a poor offshoot of England on the side.
We are a very rich. We are a country rich in law and history, who happens to neighbour England.
Which has a richer culture and history, right?
Who happen to who technically have a claim to all the land in which you are sitting on right now, Mister Not So Obvious.
You have a claim to me, to my
I have
land.
I have a claim to. We have the claim to England. It is the rightful possession of the Britons.
And how have you a rightful possession of the Britons?
Yes, of Prydain. It's our land.
And you maintain that, whereas I maintain that everywhere that isn't England is Wales, because Welsh means foreigner.
So hang on a moment. They would be willing to hand England to Brittany.
Brittany, as you know, means Little Britain. So it's obviously that Big Britain is Wales.
You traitorous swine.
So.
Oh, swine.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you!
It came to me like in a dream, in a vision. It's just. I apologise.
I feel insulted.
You should. You should.
Literally, as he's making a pig heat mug right now.
Green Goddess Stubbsmuir, I've definitely butchered that, said, once at an SNP barbecue, first off, how did you end up at an SNP barbecue? But go on, I drunkenly explained why I didn't like the SNP to John Sweeney. To be fair, he seemed a good sport about it. It's like when I was outside Comedy Club explaining to the BBC why Count Dankula was not funny, but we'd laugh anyway. That was, thank God that segment didn't make it into the documentary, eh? Adequate Cringewalker says, here's a fun exercise. Compare Joe and Jill Biden's signatures to the ones on his executive orders. A real thonker there. Well, we may come back to that in a little while, but we haven't been really covering American politics at the moment, but we'll maybe have a look at that. And finally, Hollow 1916 for €5, thank you very much, says, diced spam with paprika and mustard on a roll is the ultimate breakfast. Fight me. I can't say I've ever had it. That's the thing. You've proposed a breakfast that is good. Like, it's the James May breakfast. He's the only person I'm aware of who's ever been a real proponent of spam outside of Monty Python, right? So, but paprika and mustard with processed pork just doesn't sound that appetizing, if I'm perfectly honest. It depends how much mustard as well. Just blow your top off. But yes, there's that. Oh yes, I was going to talk about Bristol, actually, wasn't I? Because the it came up that who was it? Who's after Bristol? The Greens.
Yeah, the Greens have been after a constituency of Bristol for years.
Yes, we're all very keen to hear you talk about Bristol's.
Well, I'm sure that we're all aware of the event last year where Edward Colston's statue was summarily taken down and thrown in a river, right? Mm-hmm. And whatever it was for, Black Lives Matter or something or other. But 4 people have been charged with due to that statue's damage so far. It turns out there have been a number of people who actually appear to be facing justice. Although let me see if I can find 4 people implicated in Colston statue damage. So yeah, 4 charged over Colston statue damage to be tried in Crown Court. Because they've opted to be tried before a judge and jury. The 4, aged 21 to 36, appeared at Bristol Magistrates Court amid tight security after police warned demonstrators would be breaching lockdown restrictions if they gathered outside. The scores of supporters of the Colston 4 took part in a virtual protest. You'll have to excuse the language on this one because it's a Guardian article. Which was disrupted when someone hijacked their digital protest and digitally scrawled the N-word across a speaker's face.
Oh my god.
Ryan Graham, 29, Jake Scoos, 36, and Sage Willoughby, 21, all from Bristol, and Milo Ponsford from Bishopstoke, Hampshire, are accused of, with each other and others unknown, without lawful excuse, damaging the statue and plinth. I like how they phrase this, by which I mean I hate how they phrase this. The bronze memorial to the 17th century slave merchant was pulled down during a BLM protest on the 7th of June last year before being dumped in the harbour. It was then recovered by Bristol City Council. They had the option to be dealt with in Magistrates Court, but all four said they wanted a jury of their peers. So there we go. They've got that. That'll happen on the 8th of February. So there we go.
Yeah, all these people who just coincidentally happen to have the necessary ropes and tools with them in order to be able to tear down a statue.
And then, for no reason at all, they tore down Edward Colston's statue.
These things happen spontaneously.
Yeah, horrific.
Purely.
There
There was no pre-planning.
There was no pre-planning. There was then no listing of other statues which might wanted to be taken down afterwards. Ridiculous.
They wanted to take down an obelisk in my town to Thomas Picton. That has been rejected, by the way, which is the good news.
According to
but I think they still want to take down his statue in some. Is it Cardiff Town Hall or whatever?
Yeah, it's gone. That's gone.
Oh, that's already gone, has it?
His statue in the Welsh Hall of Heroes is gone. That exists, by the way.
There are no Welsh heroes, though.
There are many.
Well, there is definitely one fewer now, it would appear. Yes.
Somehow,
there is,
leading an advance column whilst having been shot in the hip several days earlier at Waterloo.
Champ, to be honest.
That's not at all heroic.
Look, these people don't even know what he did. They probably don't know when he lived. Pretty sure these people who are complaining about him. They had a petition in my hometown.
Bronze Man bad.
And the petition was signed by 70% of people in the United States who have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
Bronze Man bad, everybody. Bronze Man
yeah,
bad.
Mr. Picton having been picked on, yes.
I wonder if they're going to get rid of it, because in a museum near my town, there's a big stone kind of chiseled work of the Battle of Waterloo, and it's got Picton on there. I wonder if they're going to get rid of that because it's kind of the centerpiece of the museum.
You think they're going to do what sort of happened to some frescoes and things, where they chisel out the bit they don't like. Yes,
possibly, or they'll put a big sticker over his face saying "slave."
There was.
Like
speaking of statues being removed, did anyone catch what happened when Biden took office this week?
No.
He removed in the White House the bust of Sir Winston Churchill was summarily removed to a warehouse, basically, which is unsurprising, really, given Mr. Biden's perpetual dislike of
Britain.
Yeah, of England in particular.
I wouldn't really see it that way. I would see it as Obama famously removed the bust of Churchill. And that caused quite a stir at the time. And that's why Trump made a lot of fanfare of restoring the bust of Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would say it's not necessarily that surprising that Biden has taken Churchill down again, because it would be seen as a sort of anti-Trump gesture.
Is this just going to go back and forth now every 4 years?
Yeah. Every time somebody comes in from the other side, they're more than likely going to bring back Churchill and so on. It's childish, but I wouldn't therefore see it as something that has directly something to do with Britain. I would say that's more something to do with, American interior politics.
Well, one thing I'd say about it is who he replaced it with. Now, that's the notable thing about it all.
Who did he replace him with?
He replaced it with a union leader called something Chavez, and I believe it's just she. She was a authoritarian communist.
Of course he did. According to chat, by the way, because Biden was VP under Obama, they think it was his idea to remove Churchill under Obama. So There's possibly something there. It is well known Biden's dislike of Winston Churchill anyway. So
Well, Biden makes a lot of his Irish heritage, and I can't help but feel that perhaps
he's about as Irish as I am black. But yes, go on.
yes, but you know how it is in America with declaring some sort of heritage of a European country. And then, how shall we say, adhering to every stereotype you can possibly think of in order to try and reflect that. So that might be part of the cause behind this, if you know what I mean.
Oh, undoubtedly. But as I understand it, he's also it's a nice segue into this. Biden has implemented the greatest number of executive orders in a 2-day stint, more than almost any other president. He still has yet to beat Obama and Trump for the number of executive orders, but he's almost there, and he's only 2 days in. He's done over 25 of them so far, and I think it caps out at around 35. So all he needs is another day of furious scribbling, and he'll have another set of executive orders. Presumably, most of them are rescinding executive orders that rescind his predecessors' ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do we think that this is going to become the new normal? That despite the fact that they constantly complained for the last 4 years about Trump signing so many executive orders, that he's just going to continue at this pace?
Hypocrisy is par for the course, because in that regard, the Republicans did exactly the same thing. They complained about Obama's executive orders and then cheered when Trump signed one after the other.
Yeah.
So in that regard, the sort of immediate amnesia that seems to set in with whatever party seems to gain the White House, it just seems to be par for the course by now. It's ridiculous and it's insane, but well, there you are.
I think I put something up though, which is interesting given the veneration of the media of Biden at the moment. Because I think you commented on this, Bridge. So Charlie Kirk put up, take that as you will, put up in less than 72 hours since taking office, Joe Biden killed 70,000 jobs, eliminated women's sports, invaded Syria, left the National Guard to freeze in a garage, admitted he doesn't have a plan to fight COVID, broke his own mask mandate executive order, and ended US energy independence. Do you miss Trump yet? So we'll take those in order, I suppose. Killed 70,000 jobs. I assume this is referring primarily to the proposed oil pipeline that got axed. Am I thinking correctly?
I'm assuming
yes.
it's that. I'm assuming
Yes,
it's
is.
that.
Okay, I didn't know whether or not
Justin
you'd...
Trudeau is supposed to be very disappointed, isn't it, that pipeline was axed?
I didn't know if you'd covered this on the week that was or something like that, Bridge. The elimination of women's sports thing is he signed something which basically makes it illegal to discriminate against trans women applying for roles in women's sports or something to that extent, which caused a whole heated debate about how to take the devil's advocate position, because the standard position is, of course, trans women shouldn't be in women's sports. The devil's advocate position was, despite the fact that we are told we have an enormous advantage, no trans woman has ever won an Olympic medal or come first. And I'm like, well, first off, the Olympics is a bit different, right? This is
also it depends on whether you count Caster Semenya or not.
Oh, was she the runner who had a high?
Yes, the South African runner who just looks rather male amid the rest of the field.
She had a genetic condition which massively increased her T count. Right?
I fully understand that in her case it wasn't a question of there being a sort of later in life decision to be something else.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that particular person's sexuality is very much not sexuality, but sexual identity is very much in question, and you only need to see that person standing next to all the other female athletes, and you understand perfectly what the question is about.
Yeah. No, I agree, British. I agree. Sorry, I'm just uploading another image to trigger you. There we go. So, there's that one. Invaded Syria. People are saying invasion is a strong one, but moved troops into Syria, which sounds pretty invadey to me. Left the National Guard to freeze in a garage. Yes, this was a strange thing. His motorcade passed by all of the troops which were there to prevent the insurrection that we all knew was coming, but didn't happen in any way, shape or form. And a number of them were facing away from him, and it turned out that they had literally left them to sleep on a concrete floor in a garage somewhere. I saw a video of someone pulling up to give them some support, but have you guys seen anything on this?
Yeah, I heard that Trump offer them one of his hotels whenever.
Well, I know that they posted the Trump hotels posted a picture of them offering stopovers to police, but I don't know if it happened with the soldiers as well. I'm not sure, but there's that. He said that there was no easy way out of COVID, and that he didn't know if there was any way to stop it or something to that effect. He then turned up for a photo shoot and didn't wear a mask, even though the previous day he had signed an executive order saying that all federal employees were mandated to wear masks. And I don't know about this ending US energy independence thing, but that's just that.
That's once again the pipeline.
That must be once again the pipeline. Oh, right, so people are saying that the pipeline wasn't just proposed, it was being built, which is why they're saying it's axing the jobs. And there's that, yeah. Here's a cookie in a cold garage, First Lady Jill Biden, 2021. So there we go. There's that. Right. Let's cover some more super chats. Anaquin Cringewalker says, an Asian friend of mine once visited the US Midwest, and a homeschooled kid ran up to them and asked, "Are you real?" The kid thought Asians were like elves and make-believe. It's interesting how that can...
funny.
That is amusing, yes. Forgive my lack of laughter, because the story has just come to me, for instance, of a colleague of mine who basically claimed that she was Polish and she hated Poland with a passion. And the reason she'd hated it is because she'd had this African boyfriend, and they'd gone to Poland, and children were pointing at him in the street and asking questions because they'd never seen a black man before, and she considered this to be incredibly rude and incredibly racist. And I'm just like, they're kids. They're just, and they've never seen this before. They're going to ask questions, and there was and
the population on the continent is a little more brusque.
Yeah, but also like there was no indication that the parents were going, "Oh, stay away from him," and hear all these racist comments. There was just, the kids were pointing, and therefore, seems a little bit suspect to me. But there you go. Jesus Fried Christ says, beans are disgusting. Why anyone would ruin toast with beans is totally beyond me. Haven't you uncultured bongs heard of grilled cheese sandwiches?
Ugh.
I mean, toasted sandwiches is a
thing. Ham and cheese toasty.
Toasted sandwiches, wine, to call it by its proper name. And with things like spring onion and tomato in it, if you wanted it. And what was that, Britcher, did you say?
I was like, just cheese on toast.
Just cheese on toast.
Why make it fancy?
Proper cheddar as well. Nice, mature cheddar. Nice. Mighty Balzac, I assume referring to the "Is Your MP a Prick" thing, says, they're all Jeremy Hunts. Thank you very much, Mighty Balzac. We should take that inference there. Green Goddess Stubbsmuir says, my grandmother is a true believer in the SNP. Alright, this is one for you, Tailed. I've also been to party meetings at Holyrood. I don't get invited anymore. How do your family feel about the SNP? Are they not very political, Tailed?
Yeah, they're not all that political, but I I'm slowly sort of red pilling them on numerous subjects.
Speaking of the red pill, my dad did a. I'm running a study at the moment. For anyone who's interested, I will put it in the show notes. A study on mask wearing behaviours throughout COVID, and how it relates to things like political affiliation. So if you'd like to contribute to that, I'd be very, very grateful. And I will put that in the show notes after, in the top comment or something like that. Anyway, what was I saying? My dad, I said to him, could you do this study for me? And he said, well, I don't know where I sit politically, so I had him take a political compass test just for fun. And he came out authoritarian left. Just like middle of the left and then a little bit up. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much work to be done with you. I know you've had a stroke, but that's
so there's no independence of thought really with you. You're just rebelling against your dad.
No, yeah, clearly that's what it is. This is the same man who I said I got angry with because he voted for Brexit, and at the time because I was a Remainer, and who I said to him once, I just don't understand what the problem is with people's problem is with the word communism. Oh, 17-year-old, not so obvious. You had a real problem there.
That's an interesting thing to say.
Well, yeah, now I've come somewhat to my senses, but I think it was the authoritarian bent that kind of shocked me more than anything, that he was so far up there compared to where we were. But yeah, anyway, that's one side of things. I could just imagine the chat's going, yeah, the chat's disgusted with me right now. People are talking about their cheese toasties as well. Apparently tuna mayo toasties is a good thing. I've never had tuna in a cheese
Bean and ham.
It's just it's just cheese and ham, isn't it?
Cheese, beans and ham.
Cheese, beans. I don't think I've ever had beans in a toasted sandwich though before.
Yep.
But there we go.
Good.
But it sounds like something I'd be willing to try. Mr.
I
Jelly,
like just ham in my toasty. Just ham.
just ham.
Just ham. With a bit of butter maybe as well. Ham and
How
butter.
does it?
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, Owine. You continue to subsist. I have more respect at this point for Tailed Features diet than I do for yours. So
That is an insult.
maybe
That is
we should have some kind of fake accents like cook-off thing where we make all of us make a short video cooking something, and then we'll put them up for the audience to rate and that sort of thing. Press 1 in the chat if you'd be interested to see that sort of thing. But Mr. Gently Benevolent says, will Nighthawk put some Bristols in the next The Week That Was?
I mean, who knows? It's an idea.
There we go. You've got a thorough maybe out of him there, Mr. Gently Benevolent. I hope you appreciate it. Green Goddess Subspear again says, Biden stokes a lot of sectarian nonsense, possibly unwittingly. I mean, probably unwittingly, if I'm honest. It's definitely making him polarising in Scotland and Northern Ireland, at least from what I hear. I don't know. I don't know much about the opinion in Northern Ireland or Scotland on Biden specifically. Any noises from up your end, Tailed? I know you're not that far, into all that.
What do Scottish politicians think of them, or me in particular, or what?
Or just the Scottish people in general, Tailed.
Scottish people,
and you as the voice of the Scottish people.
Well, we've had a long history of not liking Trump, like before he was president, and long before that.
I think it had something to do with golf courses, didn't it?
Yes. So I mean, yeah, we were protesting Trump before it was cool. So yeah, pretty much everyone's just like, oh well, Biden was obviously the better candidate, and all this kind of stuff. And I was just saying I disagree, but whatever.
Fair enough.
That's it.
There we go. But yes, with that, unless any of you have a particular story to share from this week, I think we're coming to the end. Any final thoughts?
It took Biden 3 days to to ruin everything. There you go. I don't know. This
I
was kind of thought.
don't know about ruining everything. I mean, to begin the path, I said the descent into madness begins back in when I was,
Yes.
and we see how it goes. Any final thoughts?
2021 is just as bad as 2020. There you go. That's a good thought.
Oh, how blackpilling. Any white pills to offer, Tailed?
Haggis.
Haggis. It's Burns night. Get your whiskey, get your haggis,
Have a wee dram.
get your neeps and tatties and all that sort of thing. And anything you want to shill, Britisher, before we go?
Well, I mean, it's not so much shilling, it's just the thought that, sometimes people, I mean, particularly when your side loses and whatever, it's always kind of worth reminding yourself that there are other things other than just politics. And just because something has not gone your way, and let's face it, there's a 50% chance, life goes on. In the week that was, I ended with saying in Israel they've just implanted an artificial cornea into a guy and he can actually see again. So they've made a blind man see. So, there are positives out there. So one can do better things other than just sit at home and grow ever and ever more embittered as these things go on.
I think that's a very uplifting message from the Britisher this week. And with that, I will bid you all adieu. We have a final super chat, which is coming from Edil Canidal, who I've never heard of before, but thank you very much for contributing to the stream. He says, they don't like it up them smeghead. So thanks for that, Edil Canidal. Clearly coming there with a bit of Red Dwarf. Love it. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Glad we actually managed to get through an entire episode this time without too much issue. And until then,
Good work, Mark.
look after yourselves, and we'll see you next week for next episode of Fake Accents Unite. Take care. Bye-bye.